This article my wife sent me about FEMA forcibly vaccinating Ida evacuees. Gotta be careful what we listen to, man. Because if you, I'm gonna link this in the description. But what he's calling out is absolutely false. This article my wife sent me about FEMA forcibly vaccinating Ida evacuees. Gotta be careful what we listen to, man. Because if you, I'm gonna link this in the description. But what he's calling out is absolutely false. Just got on 610. I just want to show you guys fake news claiming to be in the truther community. You see 610 right there, I-10, I-610. It's only 610 in New Orleans. It's only a couple miles long. Probably takes 3 to 5 minutes to traverse this treacherous highway. So I just want to record this little stretch just to show you that these COINTELPRO claiming truthers are nothing more than trolls in the real truther community. And COINTEL, if you're not familiar with that, is controlled opposition info. You have to remember back to Albert Pike's quote where he says, when the people have had enough and they need a hero, we shall provide them one. And he was a 33rd degree Mason, for anybody who don't know who Albert Pike is. And if you're in the truther community, you should have been found out who that guy is, because he was successful in predicting the First World War, the Second World War, and the coming Third World War. You know, it said in his book that the Third World War is going to be Christian versus Muslim. And we have all this stuff in the Middle East going on with the talisman, if you get my drift. Just setting up this narrative for his predicted next conflict, which is pretty sad that there's going to be so many people fall for this. But you have to remember, Christianity, especially in the West, is so watered down. They have you believing that you should not protect yourself, not protect your family, and just turn the other cheek. But if you're in imminent danger and your family is in imminent danger, you by all means can protect yourself and your family. Not going out looking for a fight. Oh look, here's the end of 610, where you merge back onto I-10, approaching Metairie, Louisiana, and not one roadblock, not one strategic vehicle with the label of, you know, the FE and ends with the MA vehicles donning ice chests full of the you know, the jibby jabber, the poison that they're trying to force on all of us. But anyway, as you saw, there's no roadblock. to us. Because a lot of this is COINTELPRO. These are professional M to the I to the 6 to the C to the I to the A to the mus to the side. All those people working together to infiltrate and make look crazy our community. And they're doing a good job of that. A very good job of that. Because I run across very few people who are aware of the truth, the real truth. Not all this mockingbird media parroting that most of them do. They just repeat what they've heard on the news. Don't do any research and are headline readers. And a lot of times, as I've said in the past, these headline readers don't read the rest of the article where they usually are contradicting the headline. So they feel that they got the news, they got the truth in these articles where they are directly contradicting the headline. And all you got to do is read. I can understand if you don't know how to read, but those people are far and few in between, you know, or few and far between, whatever, however you say that little saying, riddle, whatever you want to call it. Because they tend to do that too. They enter these sayings into the subconscious of the world, like the Fourth Reich will rise again after World War II, which is what we're seeing. That's exactly what's happening. The Reich is rising here in America, and if you don't see it, then you're just a swastika sympathizer, in my opinion. You cannot see, and if you follow along with the oppression of the world, then you are a communist sympathizer, in my book. Because that's the road we're on, that's the way, you know, the way this country included is headed. Most countries of the world have already made that a reality in their countries. I mean, just look at Australia. And it's sad it's taken so much to wake people up. But this is what's happening. And another thing, another saying that has been around since the Civil War is that the South will rise again. You know, there's a lot of targeting of what they call the Bible Belt, or the South, and it includes a good portion of the Midwest. They call it the Bible Belt, the Christian Bible thumpers. And I don't see no reason why they would single these people out, or us people, me having been from the South, other than them fulfilling the little saying that they've had around for 200 years. Not to mention the other one that's been around for, 70 years, a little over 70 years. So every time you see on the mainstream a map with southern states lit up, the Midwest, I think they even consider Montana and some of the Dakotas the Bible Belt. But that's why they say that these opposing populations of these states are the problem, the domestic problem that we have, which we don't have one. It's just fabrication, like the racism card. I live in the South, And I can bring you to a place called Wiggins, Mississippi, that has a very large African American population. And probably 80% of those African Americans, or Black Americans, whatever you want to call them, they're Americans, they're my brothers and sisters. But they all love Dixie Outfitters and rebel flags. They have them flying from their porches. They wear Dixie Outfitters shirts, which their logo is the Confederate flag. But yet they have all these people, black and white both, hating this flag. When the real one, I can't say hated, because I am a proud American. Or should I say, happy to be an American up until this time in history. But that's the flag that's causing, I would say, 70% of the world's problems. You know, we like to go in and take over governments, take down governments, and replace them with our own little puppets. But yet we call other people tyrants, like Omar Gaddafi. And the truth is out there. He was one who really took care of his citizens and didn't want these central bankers in his country, which is why they spun the narrative of him being this dictator of Stalin proportion, who was sitting on billions of dollars worth of gold that just up and disappeared. And I believe Hillary Clinton was on camera talking about it. And in one news interview, she was laughing, saying, "We came, we saw, he died." Just laughing at the killing of a human being, cackling, as they call it, with her. So whether he was a plant, CIA plant, or whatever, there was still people who lived in that country who say that he took care of them. Even paid his citizens and set them up in houses for having children. You know, put them in a home, young adults who might not have a chance to buy their own homes. He would set them up, give them $50,000 per kid, I think it was. Now, when has America ever done that? You know, I was 19 years old when my son was born, my first son. And I made $7 an hour. I had $60 a week left out of my check after I paid my light bill and my rent. $60 to make it till the next paycheck with a fiance and a son. And when I applied for government assistance, they were willing to give me a whopping $32 a month in food stamps. And this wasn't, you know, at that time, I didn't have a car note, I didn't have car insurance, I didn't pay for my cell phone, my mother, fiance's mother paid for that, paid for our cable bill. If it wasn't for them, We wouldn't have had any amenities back then. But she wanted my son to have something to watch and a way to get in touch with him, so she paid for that. And glory be to God that she was kind enough to do so, because I wouldn't have been able to do it. So my first tax return, and this is a little testimony as to where I came from. You know, I grew up in the projects, as I've said, my childhood. So I started selling drugs, trying to make that extra cash to support my family, take them to go do things, because $60 a week, you're not doing much after you pay for gas going back and forth to work. So I started selling weed and ended up getting in trouble. And soon thereafter, I was no longer allowed to vote. And that's where I sit to this day, unable to vote. Like it even counts anyway. But back then, in the 2000, 2001 time, I was still under the impression that our votes really did matter and that they counted. But even then, I knew in my heart of hearts that I would see this day come in my lifetime. Maybe not quite this way, but I knew, I felt my spirit that I would see these times come. And as much stuff is going on right now, people still don't see. It just boggles the mind. Boggles the mind, because they make it so obvious. But people are still waking up on a regular basis, and thank God for that, right? But anyway, just wanted to show you guys that there was fake news even in our community. So just be careful and discern, and don't believe everything that you hear, even with said truthers like Hal Turner's radio show. Even he puts out a lot of fake stuff. Anybody still telling you that Republican and Democrat is a thing, and that this government we have is a two-party system, they're lying. So you should bring into question everything that they're reporting, everything. If you can't verify it, it's BS. Because if they still trying to convince you that your vote's going to count in 2024, then they too are living in the delusion of Babylon. Because all Democrat systems are Roman at its core, but even further than that, it goes back to Babylon, where they had one king, and then that king had presidents, in areas around his, territories. So this system, this democratic system, is nothing more than large-scale slavery and deception. Because no matter which one you vote for, and I've talked to many people that have been able to vote, all their life, they always say, I have to choose the lesser evil. Now, if you know that in your head, regardless, you are choosing evil, whether it's the lesser or not. Choosing evil. So, God commanded us to come out of her, my people, and that is this Babylonian system. So please do And discernment is a gift from God. Pray for it. And He will guide you and give you the ability to discern truth. They are trying to incite something here that we need not be involved in. Protect yourself, protect your family, but don't go looking for a fight. So I'll leave you guys with that. I'm getting down here in the disaster zone, doing a little bit of cleanup again today, trying to make a little bit of money. So just want to let you guys know that. I love you guys.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints,